his way in, and we'll let him in.
Will do.
All right. So I know the minutes got mailed out by Mike. Did anyone get a chance to look at them? Any changes anyone wants to make? If not, we can get a motion to approve.
A motion.
Anyone second?
Second.
All right. All in favor? Any opposed? Looks like everyone's muted, so there's no one opposing it. So I guess we can let that motion carry and move on to Mike. Do we have any correspondence?
Just a few internal things. And these are information only. PAD, AED updates. We completed Bath Village Police, Corning Country Club, Economic Opportunity Program, Green Mountain Lakes National Forest, J-Bill, Kennedy Valley, Prattsburgh Central School District. Ambulance renewals, Beloit Sector Logan completed theirs, and the state sent down the certifications. No BLSFR renewals and no PADs.
Napkin.
Okay.
Thank
For
you.
next, for old business, some of the things that have been brought to my attention are Dr. Kellogg was still just giving a reminder that if anyone has not completed their section of the updates, try to get them into Dr. Kellogg and he'll forward them to me. If you don't know what sections you signed up for to update, send Dylan an email. He'll let you know what sections you're responsible for. That way we can update some of our protocols and things that are more than 10 years old and bring ourselves into some cases the 2010s, let alone the 2020s. So we can get on top of that just so that everything is up to date. Other than that, on old business, I really don't have anything that Dylan really brought to my attention going forward. Mike, anything on old business that you know that we should be?
One quick thing. We have somebody from a phone number 737-2928. Who would that be?
That's Jeff Gray.
Oh, okay. I see your name.
I'm also on the computer. I have to dial in so I can hear it.
Yeah. So Jeff is on and Tim Marshall from Cement County is on. Other thing on their old business, we usually have Brandon do an update on the EMS programs.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Real quick, just a general report. My current paramedic class, we're at the end of semester one. Actually, they have this week off, so semester one is done for them. My previous paramedic course finished up in early December, and most of them have already tested, whether it be just the work alone or the national registry. So I believe all but 2 or 3 have probably tested, and those 2 or 3 are scheduled in the very near future. So it's good to see those folks are kind of getting out and working. We just started an AEMT program up in Schuyler County. Patty Miller from Schuyler asked if we could whip that up and put that on, and that just started Monday evening. The intent was to try to capture the Schuyler County population, but we've captured a lot of areas as well, not only Schuyler County, but a lot of the contingent counties as well. As far as our EMT classes go, here in Chemung and Steuben, we're finishing out an EMT here in Elmira and finishing out our EMT at our inaugural spot of Springwater Wayland Ambulance, way up at the very tip top of our coverage area. But those finish out here. Actually, Bruce finished his out the other night, and John finishes his tomorrow, and they'll be eligible to test in a couple weeks now. Yeah, after mid-February. We don't take much time off. We start another EMT original and refresher at Gaining Mills Fire Department this coming Tuesday night, the 9th. Registrations are strong. We may actually have to turn some folks away that night just because of COVID. Their room can only safely hold 25, and we have well over 25 people who have registered. So we've sent several emails letting them know that certain things need to be in place in order to kind of capture a spot. So that might be a way that we have to turn some folks away. I hate to do that, but it also speaks to them being prepared the first night. And one more thing, CME, our quarterly kind of case studies. We're presenting our first one this evening, all via Zoom. And I can email that link to members of the council right after this meeting. Our first quarterly case study, because it comes out of Stremac County, out of the Hornell area, with lots of the area partners involved. Good care along the way, and we've involved everybody from the first arriving fire department to the sheriff's deputies who were there, to ALS from Hornell, to LifeNet 77, and finally we'll have Bill Hallinan on the call talking to us about what this gentleman's hospital course was. This was a young guy, pretty badly injured from a motor vehicle accident. So good case. We'll bring everybody in little by little and have them present and use it as a learning experience for everybody. So that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thanks, Doc.
Brian, do you have any updates from state that you'd like to discuss or talk about?
Am I mute? Can you hear me now or no?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. The whole double mute thing kills me sometimes. Not really. We've been spending a lot of time at the pod sites as well as the testing sites and trying to keep up with recertifications and stuff like that. It's just real busy for us going in a million different directions. I can answer any questions if anyone has any questions. I'm sure you are all aware of the funding thing. The 80% is now 100% and that stuff. But if you've got any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. And actually, Brandon, can you tag me onto that email for that case study thing?
Yes, we'll do, Ryan.
Thank
Are there any questions from the council members or medical directors for Brian while we've got him here? Not sure if the silence is the mute being in effect or no questions, but it looks like nobody's starting to talk. So we'll thank Brian for joining us. And there is one matter that is a little bit of old business, kind of old business, but a mixture of new business has been brought up here before. Does anyone have good contact with the medical director for Schuyler Ambulance?
Is it Tim Page still?
I'm not 100% positive on that, because more of the issue that I'm getting some phone calls from Donnie and from some other people that they're struggling very mightily to meet the ALS demand. So I wanted to have someone reach out to him if we could, see if there was any credence to the rumors that they're struggling to reach their 75%.
Can you hear me, Rob?
Here's someone trying to chime in.
It's me, Rob. It's Rick. Can you hear me okay?
Barely.
Real faint, yeah.
Isn't it Dr. Sachs, and didn't we just add him to the medical advisory committee?
Bruce is checking our list. I'm not sure if he actually took Schuyler Ambulance. I know he was taking somebody.
I know he was taking a bunch of departments in Schuyler County. So
Yeah.
I don't know if Schuyler is actually one of the ones that he picked up.
Bruce
Yeah, I
is gonna pull that.
We can look for that. I thought he was going to be taking a lot of the BLS, kind of like Dr. Emmerman does around here, but I didn't know if he was ALS as well for Schuyler County.
I'm being told by Schuyler that it's still Tim Page.
Okay.
Yep. I
So
reached
Mike-
out to Patty Miller, who's the director up there.
Sure. Mike, I'll catch up with you in a day or two, then we can try to reach out to him to see if there's anything that we can help him with, or if there's any credence to the rumors that they're really struggling to meet it, because I know for the council, I think it's a 75% is our minimum for ALS, and it seems like they're having some issues struggling to meet that 75%, often coming in far under 75%. I know your AAMT class might be a big boost for them then, Brandon, so sounds like we're getting some new business that help might be on the way for them.
Right, yep.
I'll get Tim Page's contact info for you. I know he's not in this region. He was like up around Syracuse, someplace up there.
Okay.
He's also WI's medical director.
All right. So then, just reiterate again, as soon as we can get the revision of the old Stremac policies up to date, pass it along to Dr. Kellogg, and we'll get everything up to date, make sure that there's nothing else that needs to be modified, which will bring us to the conclusion of what I have for old business and any new business other than electing a co-chair.
This meeting passcode is
Co-chair.
invalid. Please re-enter the meeting passcode followed by pound.
Is that Dr. Bohan?
That's not me with the numbers, and I'm not, no, not co-chair.
Your screen lit up, an acknowledgement that you wanted.
965.
We do have some new blood, and Dr. Berry does come with some impressive
This meeting
EMS
passcode
credentials, so I don't know if he has any interest.
He's muted, that means one.
Do you mean vice chair, or you want a co-chair?
Yes, yes, vice chair.
Okay,
Vice
you don't
chair.
have any, you
I
don't
was,
have anybody right now as vice chair?
no, I was trying to be cute and let that slide, but Bohan had to call me out for it.
According to your bylaws, the vice chair becomes chair in 2 years.
That's why nobody wants to do it?
Well, I'll
That
tell
might
you from
change some people's minds.
Dr. Howland and Dr. Berry are both on mute, so I believe you can nominate either one of them.
No.
I saw Dr. Hallahan raise her hand there.
No, no. Good try though.
Dr. First made a motion to be herself.
I wonder if Dr. Berry has patience.
Dr. Berry may be with patients.
I'm just seeing patients. I'm sorry. I'm kind of in and out here.
Well, we nominated vice chair.
I don't think that's me, but
We approved you.
oh Lord.
Is there any interest from somebody to be vice chair, which, full disclosure, that would mean in 2 years you would take over as chair and essentially run the meetings and be invited to state CMAC meetings as well.
The
Crickets.
silence is deafening.
It might be something that's worth tabling and putting out to the group and saying if anyone's interested in, doing at some point.
I do believe that it's
I
been
agree,
mentioned in
yeah.
previous meetings and that there was no interest in it, but we can try that approach again. And since, Mike, we don't have any strong interest and kind of a complete lack of interest, I guess we will table it, send out an email again and talk to it at the next
Is
meeting.
there a description you can put out of what it entails, like the responsibilities in total?
Having done it for the last 2 years, the majority of everything was done by Dr. Kellogg. And I just had a nice title to go on my resume for a couple of years.
Right.
And if at all possible, if say I can't make a meeting, that person would then chair the meeting. They would just discuss with Mike what needs to be discussed at the meeting and get their voice ready to talk a lot more than they normally
What are the
would.
responsibilities once you become chair?
You know, that's a very good question. I still have not received said responsibilities.
That would be the crucial question. Can you put,
Yeah.
is there just a summary of what that entails so you know what you're getting into?
I think besides running
Mike
this,
or Brian?
besides running this meeting, there's the quarterly state meetings that you go to. Those have been virtual. I don't know if that's going to continue in the future, but that was a nice little perk as far as not having to drive 3 hours up to Albany for the meetings. Because that was, I think, a pretty fair time commitment there for it. And then it's, you know, whatever comes up in this meeting, addressing those issues. And updating things.
There are also a lot more virtual meetings now where they kind of give you guidance as far as how things are going with EPCR, how things are going with COVID, and finding out that in many parts of the state, a lot of our EMS is integral to the COVID vaccine rollout. You do get a lot more information about, they have a vital signs thing where it's just information on the state of EMS throughout the state. Nice, James. I like the bottom of your mug.
I just realized what that cup was.
I have to say that the time commitment is not significant, especially now with everything being virtual. However, in 2 years from now, I can't promise that it hasn't moved back to meetings being in Albany.
So you also want to take into consideration that the council is working on hiring a regional medical director, which will take a lot of the responsibility off the chair of the Stremac as well. And that should happen here in the very near future. And it actually could take off a lot of the meeting responsibilities as well.
That's interesting.
Unless it's the same person.
Yeah, I was about to say that,
but the same person, that's correct. But right now, it's the idea is that it would be someone that was separate from the Stremac chair, unless that person actually happens to be voted onto the Stremac. It's not going to be. They're not going to be tied to each other. It's not going to be if you're the regional medical director, you're the chair of the Stremac. It's going to be. It's going to be a separate position.
So to answer Dr. Hallen's question from our perspective, the program agency, typically when we have a question from an agency or just something blowing in the wind, we forward that on to the Stremac chair. And if it's a little bit more encompassing than that, we send it out to the entire Stremac. So we hopefully we resolve a lot of those issues. And I know you've been involved in several of them. We've looped them in because they've been in your area or with some agencies you oversee. But that's what they do from our perspective is resolve those questions. And they're not usually big questions with large impact for the entire region. It's resolving an issue that's sort of isolated. So it's a lot of those sorts of things. And I've looped Robin on everything that we shoot to Dylan over the last couple of months, so you can kind of get a taste of what goes on, but it's a lot of those sorts of things. And then working with the council, because you're there, you know, it's a subcommittee of them. So maybe Rick, you have a build on that?
If you also look into Article 30, I believe that there, and Brian can probably speak more to this, that there are in Article 30, it's in law what the regional medical advisory committees are responsible for. And that will give you a pretty good indication of what the leader of the medical advisory committee's responsibilities are.
And this Stremac has also given authority to the Stremac chair to make some decisions in the interim. For example, if we have a time sensitive, let's say it's the BLSFR, if it's time sensitive, he can act on that and bring it back, circle it back around, things like that, because of the council or the Stremac only meets, 4 times a year. We don't want to let anything fall through the gap there. So the person typically does act on those things that need immediate attention.
I'm certainly happy to be vice chair again and go up that route, unless Dr. Hallahan is really tempted at this point. I can see her considering it.
Oh, go ahead.
Hallahan, I think I said your name wrong. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So, Dr. Hallinan, you have an interest, or should we head back in the direction of Dr. Bowen?
No, if Dr. Bowen wants to take that on, I was just inquiring in case nobody else would want to do it. But if you've got somebody more willing to take that role, that's fine.
It's 2 years as vice chair, then 2 years as chair, just so we're clear.
All right, then, if he says he's willing, I would nominate James Bowen for the vice chair.
Oh, if no one wants to second it, that's great.
I'll second it.
Oh, darn.
Who's the second?
The sheriff. All right, since there's no other nominations, anyone opposed? Looks like everyone's in favor. Dr. Bowen, congratulations.
Happy
Thank you,
birthday to
Doc.
me, huh?
I haven't been made aware of any other new business.
I have some new business if,
Oh,
okay.
I was about to open it up, but there you go, Rick, go for it.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought it was open.
No worries.
The council executive committee met a few weeks ago, and we did approve both Dr. Sachs and Dr. Berry as members of the Stremac.
Congratulations.
The vaccinator program, what the council has done is come up with a draft document, and essentially the intention behind it is to have a ready list of paramedics and EMTs that are certified within the region by the state to give the vaccine, the COVID vaccines. So we have a list. So if any agency or any department needs more vaccinators, that they can contact the secretary of the council, and the council can give them a list of names of people who are certified to give the vaccine. So that they went out for a comment phase, didn't really receive any comments, so that's going to be moving forward. So we should have a list. I know Irway has 17 people that are ready to do that, and I'm not certain about the other agencies, how many people they have. I believe Schuyler has 5, but I'm not sure about AMR or Hornell.
So Rick, I think it was unclear to particularly the smaller agencies and some of the CLIs and CICs as to because the state put out a process, and then Donnie talked about a different process, somewhat different process. So how does one become a vaccinator in this region?
You have to go through the state's process. That's how you become a vaccinator. Where there's no process put forward by the region other than that we're going to hold a list of people that are certified by the state to give vaccines, so that if someone is in need of extra vaccinators, they can contact the regional council, and the regional council can give them a list of people that are certified and willing.
So say if Springway wants to hold a class, they all do the online portion, the vital signs portion, then are you a repository for who's going to vet them on the practical skills?
We're not vetting. We're just holding a list. The practical skills is all part of the state's program. So the state gives you people who are authorized to perform the practical skills or to evaluate the practical skills, such as your medical director, a CIC, a CLI, or a training officer who's been approved by your medical director can can do the skills assessment. That's all through the state.
As Rick was mentioning, the sign off would come from the individual agency or the person's medical director. Then we would just keep the people's names so that if somebody says all of a sudden they have a shortage, but they have vaccine that needs to be administered, we could just say, you might want to head in this direction to find this person who has a surplus of vaccinators.
So is there any wisdom to holding, they have to do the vital signs on their own, to holding that practical skills assessment in some strategic locations and designate someone that can do that for them? Because there's small places that their medical directors aren't necessarily readily accessible, nor are CLIs or CICs. So if we can facilitate that process, I guess I'm asking.
That would all be based on need. If there's a need out there, then absolutely go forward with it.
That would also be great to have the regional medical director who could aid in signing people off in those situations.
I don't mind, like, I was gonna, as I was listening to the the discussion that went on drafting this, I was gonna volunteer if you got people that need to come and just have us, go through that requirement, the 2 pages, I mean, as long as I have enough notice, we give injections here every day. So unless there's some opposition by the Guthrie to having people come in and having us just watch them do their skill set, and we could probably do it here.
One of the other options might be to, that if you have a area or a place that's giving the shots, you can actually send them there to go through the process, go through orientation, have them give the shots, get signed off, and then forward the practical part, and then they could get their certificate.
So to Dr. Hallinan, if we get enough interest, you'd be willing to go to a location and run these people through?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll be happy to join her too. Doc, if you need a second hand, I can help you.
So we'll put it back out there to the agencies and see how much interest there is in actually showing up. And if we have a good enough interest, we'll pick, a mutually inconvenient location and set that up.
All right, yeah, I mean, I have no problem. I've signed up a bunch of people from Irway. If there's other agencies that are struggling because they can't get in touch with their medical director, we could easily find some sort of situation that'll benefit and get the vaccine out to as many people as possible.
Great, thank you.
Other than that, any other business from the meeting, Rick?
Yeah, I was just going to give you an update. Steuben County is still going through our EMS study. We have a company called Center for Public Safety Management that is actually going through. They've done a complete review of call data from 2019. They're in the process now of going through agency and public officials to talk a little bit more about details on the operation of EMS within Steuben County. Ultimately, they'll provide a detailed study that breaks down the EMS system within Steuben County, and hopefully they'll be able to define some options for improvement or enhancement over the future goals and objectives. So that's kind of what we're looking for. Some of you may have been contacted by CPMS as part of the officials component of that. Primarily, we're focusing on the medical directors of agencies, specifically agencies within Steuben County. But just wanted to kind of provide you an update and let you know what we're doing here in Steuben. And we're still going through that process. COVID has set us back a little bit. Specifically in their investigation of agency survey type of work. The primary individual Matt Savatsky, who's with the EMS agency out of Texas, has been tied up with COVID. Certainly the COVID situation in Texas was quite bad this year. So he's been tied up with quite a bit of COVID work, but they're getting back on board now and getting those surveys out, and hopefully should be wrapping up the study within the next month or so.
You're on mute, Rob.
Else for any new business?
Jeff Gray from Chemung County EMO's office is on. Maybe he has anything. I'm not sure you can see him.
Nope, I'm all set.
I don't think there's anything else for this meeting, and let me just double check. I don't have it in front of me right now. Mike, when is the date and time for our next proposed meeting?
Next meeting is May 5th, followed by September 1. I'll
Okay.
email those all out. They'll be on the bottom of the next set of minutes. We'll get those out in the next couple of days.
All right, Dr. Sheriff, this is your time to shine. Your motion.
Motion to adjourn. I had to unmute, so.
Gotcha. All right,
Is
I'll
there a
second
second?
Dr. Sheriff's motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Be safe out there. Thanks.
Thank you
See you.
all.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.